Chapter 706. Annihilation and Flower 7. Blink. Seo Ran opens her eyes. Next to her, Jaeon Myung-hoon and Beck are still sleeping, scratching their bellies. She lets out a small sigh as she looks at them, then heads outside to prepare breakfast. It's not bad that Jaeon Myung-hoon and Beck are staying with her at the request of the Seo Eun-yeon couple, but it's not particularly good either. As she prepares breakfast with an air of finding it bothersome, she exchanges a few simple greetings with Oh Yun-sok from next door, who is also up at roughly the same time and preparing breakfast. Once the sun properly rises, she wakes Jaeon Myung-hoon and Beck and eats breakfast with them. From today, until Seo Eun-yeon returns, I'm your guardian. So for the next 3 days, treat me like your father and serve me well. Yes. Seo Ran, with an air of finding it a hassle, brings side dishes to Jaeon Myung-hoon and sighs. I feel like I've got a kid I have to look after now. But Jaeon Myung-hoon's reactions are always so absurd that she can't help but let out a chuckle, so it also ends up being a little fun. Still, she doesn't show it openly. They're leaving in 3 days anyway. This, too, is a fixed outcome. She sees the flow. That's why she doesn't show strong emotions about anything. Unless it's something entirely new, like chatting with Kang Min-hee and hearing fresh information. So, once again, she spends her day that's slightly changed but still dull and monotonous. She wakes up, prepares breakfast, tidies up, and then cleans the house. Afterward, she completes the martial arts training assigned by her father and mother. Then she eats lunch, and from that point on, it's free time. During her free time, she always climbs Sword Peak Mountain to take a walk or ties a rope between trees to practice tightrope walking alone. Then, as evening comes, she returns, prepares dinner, and eats. After cleaning up, she climbs Sword Peak Mountain again for a bit before coming back down. That is Seo Ran's daily routine. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. She continues to feel stifled and bored in the endlessly repetitive daily life. And, finally, 3 days pass, and on the morning of the 4th day. As Seo Ran opens her eyes, she notices that instead of Jaeon Myung-hoon and Beck, Seo Eun-yeon and Kim Yi-yeon are sitting on either side of her, looking down at her. You're back, mother, father. Yes. Have you been well? Seo Eun-yeon strokes her hair with a gentle smile, and Seo Ran looks at him with a slight pout as she responds. Well, I guess I've been okay. Ho ho, Taoist Seo. It seems you're sulking because your father came home too late. Father, can you please stop with that? Haha, sorry, Ran. But more importantly, I have something for you. As Seo Ran expresses confusion, Kim Yi-yeon and Seo Eun-yeon stand up at the same time and pull her along. Happy birthday, Seo Ran. This morning, we're having rice cakes. Out on the wooden porch where Seo Eun-yeon and Kim Yi-yeon take her, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Beck, Oh Yun-sok, and even Kang Min-hee from the black sector gathered, lighting a thin candle stuck into Saru Tteok. Back in our homeland, we always celebrated birthdays like this. Well, someday, when you reach the proper realm, I'll project the history and show it to you. With a bright grin, Jaeon Myung-hoon seats Seo Ran and puts a strange cone-shaped hat on her head. Then, Seo Eun-yeon and the others all begin singing a birthday song she has never heard before. Seo Ran is a little startled by this bewildering way of celebrating a birthday, but soon a smile blooms across her face. Everything is in a style she has never seen before. None of the things Seo Ran sees belong to the flow she's always sensed. It's as if these forms came from somewhere outside that flow. For the first time in a long while, Seo Ran finds it really fun. Seo Ran celebrates her birthday with her mother and father, laughing together for the first time in a long while. And the rest of the day is overall the same. Seo Eun-yeon and Kim Yi-yeon spend the whole day with her, strolling through the streets of Jungyang City, or taking her to see the theater performances or acrobatic shows she enjoys. Whenever Seo Ran sees the tightrope walking acrobats, her face flushes slightly red, and Seo Eun-yeon smiles gently as he watches her. And, at last, night falls. You want to go up Sword Peak Mountain? You always said not to enter the mountain recklessly at night. Tonight is fine. Seo Ran tilts her head as she looks at Seo Eun-yeon and Kim Yi-yeon, who say they want to climb to the peak of Sword Peak Mountain with her. Well, I'm happy to hike with father and mother for the first time in a while, but I don't know why we're going now. Especially since father always said, as a ginseng digger, that going into the mountains at night is a bad. Forget that just for tonight. Seo Eun-yun smiles as he strokes Seo Ran's head. Because tonight, there's a gift for you on Sword Peak Mountain. Quote. Huh, let's head to the summit first. Seo Ran feels both curious and a bit expectant at the mention of a gift from Seo Eun-yun. What kind of gift could he be giving her on this dark night? And finally, when they reach the summit of Sword Peak Mountain under the dark night sky. Alright, it's starting. Watch closely, Ran Ah. What your mother and I have worked hard to weave together. Pyong. Far in the distance, something launches into the sky from within Jungyang City. Pyong. Then, it explodes in midair and begins to fill the sky with incredibly beautiful fireworks. It's the age of gunpowder. And from that age, we've created fireworks. Seo Eun-yun exchanges a proud smile with Kim Yeon. In their homeland, fireworks aren't anything rare. But in this world, fireworks are not so widespread among mortals as the development of gunpowder here isn't smooth. And so, the fireworks Seo Ran sees now are the first in her life. Ah, it's beautiful. At the sight of fireworks she has never seen since birth. And at the shift in the flow of fate that has allowed such fireworks to exist, she feels an indescribable awe as her mouth falls open. Each firework explodes in a different shape, and even the way they burst is never the same. Because of that, every firework that Seo Ran beholds feels like a new show, as if she's seeing it for the very first time. She smiles brightly, feeling the greatest joy she's ever felt in her life. Quote. Mother, father, did you two prepare this? For me, well, we had a bit of help from some others too. Quote. Ho ho, Taoist Seo, are you moved? To the point that she even lets Seo Eun-yun's teasing joke slide once. She is unable to take her eyes off the beautiful sight, naturally opening her mouth. And at the words she utters, Kim Yeon and Seo Eun-yun wear warm, tender expressions that are rarely seen from them. Quote. Thank you, mother, father. Like so, Seo Ran's family gathers together and watches the fireworks late into the night. Seo Ran dreams. Shwa. For some reason, she finds herself stepping into a garden surrounded by black flowers. At the center of that garden lies a narrow path, and at the end of that narrow path, something awaits. Seo Ran, as if entranced, walks along the narrow path and reaches the end. Ah, sir, mountain spirit, and what she sees at the end of that path is the same mountain spirit, who has continued to appear before her until now. It's been a while. By the way, you're a lot bigger today. You look different than usual. Quote. That's because there's no longer any need for me to stay cautious. Pardon, cautious about what? In order to entertain you, who grew bored of the already experienced fate and prepared to overcome it, they wove together the age of gunpowder. Thanks to that, my opportunity came much sooner than expected. Especially with the beginning of that age of gunpowder, when you and they shared happiness and became immersed in fireworks. That was the most decisive. I give you my thanks, Ran Ah. Huh, Sir Mountain Spirit. Seo Ran trembles at the mountain spirit's words, which carry a strangely ominous tone. It is thanks to you. Because you were born, their weakness came into being, and because you were born, I gained a medium to progress their beginning, development, twist, and conclusion. Because you were born and received their love, a new era thus began, giving me room to intervene, and thanks to you, they have become trapped in this world. The mountain spirit's grin gradually stretches into a grotesque smile. Squirm, squirm. At the same time, black flowers begin to bloom from the body of the mountain spirit, and his form shifts into something resembling a grotesque worm. The creature with the face of an old man atop the body of a wriggling worm laughs. Ran Ah, you've always wanted to escape from the suffocating flow of fate, and that is something inevitable. You were born with the fate that overcomes fate. How suffocating it must have felt to live in a world where fate repeats endlessly, and how much must you have wanted to overcome it. But, there's no need for that anymore. I shall save you. From now on, you no longer need to feel the suffocating fate again. Seo Ran takes a step back. For some reason, this version of the mountain spirit feels truly terrifying. Unlike the liberation law talent of Bong Myong, I lack the ability to lead the progress of a new civilization, but I am the first Zero King. Kugugugugu. The presence of that being in her dream begins to gradually grow larger. The enders of much more advanced civilizations manifested their civilizations in Mount Sumeru. However, with their decline, those civilizations fell and became ancient forces embedded deep within the Akashic records. I am the one who can draw forth those ancient forces. Kururum. Crushed beneath and gradually dying under the presence of that being, Seo Ran begins to gag and chows as she asks. Why you? Who? You're not, Sir Mountain Spirit. From this moment on, I shall become the guide of Seo Unyun, the only ender who has yet to awaken to his fate. Goo. Thus, Seo Ran is swallowed by the overwhelming presence of the giant worm and loses consciousness within the dream. Heok. Seo Ran jerks upright. It's the first time she's had a dream. But even though it's her first experience, it isn't enjoyable. Rather, an ominous and grimy feeling creeps across her whole body. What kind of dream was that? Just as Seo Ran is taken aback and looks around. Seo Ran's mother and father, who normally sleep on either side of her, are nowhere to be seen. Seo Ran tries to read the flow to find Seo Unyun and Kim Yeon. But at that moment, she flinches in shock. What is this? The flow of the entire world is. The massive flow of fate of the entire world is undergoing a mad upheaval. Seo Ran hurriedly rushes out of the master bedroom and looks up at the sky. At that moment, something in the sky enters her sight. Pieing, far in the distance, a single streak of light falls from the starry sky beyond the far horizon. Googing, she suddenly feels as if the ground is slightly trembling beneath her feet. At this series of celestial phenomena, Seo Ran grows panicked and starts searching for Seo Unyun and Kim Yeon. And finally, she sees Seo Unyun and Kim Yeon standing as if entranced atop the roof of their home. And beside them, she also sees Oh Yun Sok from next door. Father, Mother, Uncle Yun Sok, what are you all doing? Seo Ran shouts at them, taken aback. But all of them remain silent, their faces stiff, not responding easily. Honey, Yeon softly grips my shoulder. I curl the corner of my lips into a bitter smile. It's alright, Yeon. I won't be taken down by something like this. I have been completely caught in the trap and scheme of the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable. I glance at Sword Peak Mountain. The connection to the main body is severed. Currently, the only ones who have placed their main body outside the unruly realm along with their main consciousness are Oh Hai Seo and Hong Fan. Everyone else, aside from those two, has placed their main consciousness within this unruly realm, leaving their main body outside. On top of that, divine powers, immortal arts, and mantras, none of them are activating properly. A force suppressing all supernatural abilities to the maximum has spread across the world. Was it because we got too caught up in the fireworks last night? All sorts of hypotheses flash through my mind, but only one conclusion remains. I look down at Seo Ran, who calls to us from below with a confused expression. No matter what happens, I will protect my child. A world that resembles Bong Myong's, yet unlike that one, is a world truly devoid of any miracles or supernatural powers, gradually reveals itself and begins to impose its law upon us. And so we wait for the next day, having lost all miracles within the trap of the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable. The true power of the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable was not the annihilation flower. Destruction disguised as the flower of happiness, leading the opponent into decline. This is the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable's true power. Chapter 707, Change, Impermanence 1. Seo Ran hardens her expression and looks at Seo Unyun and Kim Yeon. Until now, her parents have never worn such stern expressions. And immediately after, Seo Unyun speaks. Go inside, Ran. From now on, you are forbidden from entering the city. If you want to meet with Kong Min-hee or the others like before, they will be called here instead of you going out. Do you understand? Within a month, an enormous disaster will befall the city. Faced with Seo Unyun's icy warning, she silently nods her head. And it does not even take a full month for her and the Seo Unyun family to confirm the identity of that disaster. So it was drugs, I mutter as if spitting out the words, gazing at the bandits who've died before me. They have died from drug overdose, and right now, such drugs are circulating incessantly around Jungyang City. According to what I heard, the inside of the city is supposedly dozens of times more saturated with drugs than the outside. Step, it's when I clean up the path at the foot of Sword Peak Mountain that heads toward my home. From a distance, familiar footsteps approach. Have you been well, Seo Unyun? As usual, how's the inside, Kong Min-hee? The only one among us who chose to disguise herself as someone of Seo Ran's age, not to become an adult who protects her, but to be her friend. It's Kong Min-hee. It's the worst. Drugs being sold dirt cheap all the way from the Seo Kingdom have taken over the market. The Emperor of Yun Kingdom might declare war on the Seo Kingdom anytime now. And, right now, Seo Kingdom is. I know, I recall the meteorite that fell to the west a few days ago. That meteorite was no ordinary rock. All of us who were there that day saw it with our own eyes. A massive salt crystal, in other words, a massive lump of ancient force fell from the sky. And that tremendous chunk of history crashed down, shaking the very axis of this planet and revising history at an absurd level. Countless histories were incorporated into this planet's own, and from the distant past. The flow of eras created by past enders began to emerge atop this world. She speaks. Sal Tree has begun to exert his power. As you already know, he's trying to imprison our egos into this world and crush us beneath the flow of the era until we're ground to death. After drugs spread and war breaks out, the civilization of this country will advance ahead rapidly, and the world will become one where Ran can encounter new fates every day, just like she wanted. Kong Min-hee's face is stiff. I, too, nod with a hardened expression. We had never intended to create something like cultivators in this world. We only planned to create a modest martial world, stimulate Ran, and make her the strongest under the heavens. That plan has become meaningless now. The only ones outside are Ohai Seo and Hong Fan. And there are still about 600 years left before we can reach the place where the heavenly venerable of time resides. For those remaining 600 years, we have to endure and survive the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable's attacks no matter what. Kong Min-hee clenches both fists tightly. I'll go around with Jaeon Myung-hoon and the others to try and stop the flow of the era from progressing to bias time. You two use that time to recover as much power as possible with Seo Ran. I don't know about us, but you two, at least you and Kim Yeon, must never be swept away by the era. Quote. You two are that child's mom and dad. Got it. Even if she seems frustrated with you two, she's still just a kid, and she relies on you far more than you imagine. I nod as I listen to Kong Min-hee's words. Quote. I'll take that to heart. Thank you. HMPH, whatever. Then move aside. I came today because I've got things to say to Ran. Kong Min-hee says so and walks past us toward the house. The only one among us who doesn't act as an adult looking after Seo Ran, but as a friend walking alongside her, Kong Min-hee. For some reason, I get a powerful feeling that, among all of us, the one who will survive the longest with Seo Ran under Sal Tree's hand will be Kong Min-hee. We go Seo Ran, you brat. What's with the long face? Seo Ran throws her arms around Kong Min-hee, who has come to see her despite the situation being dire. Let go. I'll explain what's going on first. And I'll tell you what to do if something urgent happens, so listen carefully. Kong Min-hee slips out of Seo Ran's hug and pulls out a few items she has brought with her. First, according to what the merchant group has investigated, Seo Kingdom is currently selling large quantities of drugs into this country. And there's a high probability that the Yun Kingdom's royal family will declare war on Seo Kingdom. But, we're going to lose to Seo Kingdom. Pardon, but the Yun Kingdom's martial world is the largest and strongest on the continent, and the martial arts of the royal guards are. I know, they're strong. But that's all. We didn't create cultivation sects on this planet so you wouldn't be put in too much danger. No, never mind. There's no point in talking about that now, so I'll skip it. Anyway, what's important is this. Kong Min-hee rummages through the belongings she brought with her and pulls something out. And Seo Ran's eyes shine as she sees the silver object Kong Min-hee has taken out. What is this, Unnie? It's called a gun. It operates using the same kind of gunpowder you saw in those fireworks before, a deadly weapon. Come with me. Kong Min-hee takes Seo Ran outside, loads the gun called a handgun, and points it at a large tree in front of the house. If you want to cover your ears, do it. It's pretty loud. Tong. Immediately after, when Kong Min-hee pulls the trigger, fire and smoke burst from the muzzle, and the bullet lodges into the tree. My ears hurt. Did you see that, Seo Ran? Quote. Yes, it's incredibly fast. Seo Ran nods, as if she understands what Kong Min-hee is worried about. Even I, who've trained in the Yun-style fighting method, found it hard to follow with my eyes. But, if that's what a gun is, using gunpowder to produce that kind of speed and power, then it seems manageable. If they're mass-produced and given to soldiers, it might be a bit troublesome, but I don't think it's to the point that the peak masters of Yun Kingdom won't be able to stop them. Quote. Well, that's the normal reaction if you've only seen this much. But Ran, watch closely. The flow of the era isn't something you can ignore so easily. Wu Wang. Kong Minhee begins infusing ghostly energy into the gun. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Pyuk. Immediately after, when Kong Minhee pulls the trigger again, the bullet fires this time without making any audible sound, aside from the tiniest trace of a click. Pookwik. The bullet pierces clean through the large tree she had aimed at and embeds itself deep into the rock behind it, to the depth of an entire arm. Guns have something called rifling. When you infuse internal power into the rifling, it maximizes its function, spinning the bullet to an extreme degree and boosting its penetration power to the peak. Moreover, when you envelop the gun with internal power, it's possible to eliminate sound entirely. And that's not the end. Wang. Kong Minhee infuses internal power into the gun once more and fires again. Pyuk. Again, only the faintest sound rings out, and in the next moment. Tukwang. The massive tree Kong Minhee shoots explodes, leaving a hole the size of a human head in it. If you infuse the bullet, not the gun, with internal power, you can add properties to the bullet upon firing. What I did just now was maximize the explosive power and area of effect. Since the essence of chi is explosion, it's possible to draw out that fundamental force through gunpowder and guns. Quote. And none of this requires a peak master. As long as Seo Kingdom soldiers train their internal energy for about 3 months, and then go through just a month of regimented training, all of this becomes possible. Can you imagine it, Ran Ah? Seo Kingdom soldiers, all wielding these deadly weapons, will conquer this country. No matter how hard Yun Kingdom's martial artists, who aren't even cultivators, fight, they'll be wiped out. There might even be lunatics who lose their minds and claim the Seo Kingdom bastards are using fire arts, and try to counter it with yin energy by smearing women's excrement on the city walls and throwing it. Shuck. Kong Minhee hands the gun to Seo Ran and speaks. It's not as fantastical as the fireworks your parents prepared, but it's my own practical birthday gift to you. Take it, Seo Ran. When you reach the standard your parents mean by number 1 under the heavens, I'm sure even these powerful weapons won't matter. But until you reach that level, survive this chaotic era with this. And so, that day, Seo Ran gains a new means of escape from the martial arts she never liked. After Seo Ran received the gun from Kong Minhee, just as Minhee said, the world began to change rapidly. Yun Kingdom and Seo Kingdom went to war, and as she predicted, Yun Kingdom suffered a crushing defeat. Even the martial arts that boast countless deep-rooted histories, the various orthodox and devilish internal energy methods that exist in Yun Kingdom, all proved useless. Because that simple yet terrifying weapon called a gun, once infused with a little internal energy, displays a horrifying power that tears through even martial arts with long-standing histories. Even a third-rate martial artist who has just begun cultivating internal energy, with a bit of regimented training and a bit of internal energy infused into the gun, is sufficient to kill a peak master. The entire nation, including the capital Zhengyang City, was turned upside down. The once esteemed position of peak masters, achieved through powerful martial arts and intense self-discipline, became meaningless. You can sense the enemy's intention to strike beforehand. You know the optimal trajectory for attack. It doesn't matter. If the speed of the bullet is maximized with shooting arts that infuse internal energy into the gun, then whether you know the intention or the direction of the attack, you won't be able to dodge or block anyways and will just get shot and killed. So what if you know the optimal trajectory for attack? It's meaningless if you have no means of long-range response anyway. At least those who have become peak masters through the bow have a slight chance of resistance, but even then, guns can fire continuously and conduct volleys far more easily than archers, so they are swept away without contest. In this disparity created not by martial arts but by technological gap, Yun Kingdom is utterly defeated by Seo Kingdom. Seo Kingdom either occupies various regions of Yun Kingdom as concession territories or demands reparations, and several of its corporations enter Yun Kingdom, introducing numerous modern innovations, starting with something called the railroad. In that era of upheaval, Seo Ran and her parents survive. And 5 years have passed since Seo Ran first received the gun. Seo Ran becomes an adult. The day before Seo Ran's 20th birthday. Ironically. No, not ironically. Most likely, just as the heavenly venerable of the Sal tree intended. Only on this day do I learn the method to regain my main body and leave the unruly realm to reach the nether treading ship. Death. Yes. If I am liberated from this body and freed from the laws of this world, I can immediately regain my main body. And, worried about the outside world, I begin to weigh whether I should leave or not. Should I go, or not? In this world where the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable has played his hand and sealed away all forms of authority, I am powerless. Creating a clone or another incarnation is impossible. The only option is to discard this body I wear. And that means, I must leave behind my daughter, who still has not awakened to her fate and cannot withstand our main bodies, and inflict upon her the wound of parental death. Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable. By this point, I clearly understand what the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable wants. Sal Tree wants to separate me from the one I love most in the most brutal way possible. And through that, make me awaken to my fate. This is the level of scheming that a Heavenly Venerable operates on. In direct confrontation, he may only be my equal, but when he begins to shake the entire situation from behind the scenes through prophecy and immortal arts, then none of us can easily resist the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable. What am I supposed to do? If I want to protect my daughter and family from the flow of the era as prophesied by Sal Tree, I must abandon this body and return to my main form to confront Sal Tree's prophecies and immortal arts aboard the nether treading ship. But to confront Sal Tree, I will be leaving my daughter with the cruelest kind of parting. And that will directly trigger my fate's development that Sal Tree desires. Forced into this ultimatum by the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable, I begin to contemplate what I must choose. Chapter 708. Change, Impermanence 2. The reason we're all gathered here today. I think it's because everyone has realized it at this point. Everyone, including myself, nods. Tang, tang, tong. From outside, the sound of Seo Ran practicing shooting can be heard. Seo Ran seems to enjoy shooting quite a lot, and ever since receiving a gun as a gift from Kong Min-hee, she has been practicing every day. Because of that, a great amount of bullets and gunpowder are needed. But since Kim Yeon, who possesses the Liberation Law talent, makes them all, it doesn't become a big problem. After listening to the sound of Seo Ran practicing shooting for a while, I slowly begin to speak. Quote. To leave this world, we must die. We must sever the karma of this world, and then leave. Everyone slowly nods at my words. Then, I continue speaking slowly, and by now, you're all probably starting to feel it too. The restrictive force is getting stronger. If we continue like this, if we miss the timing to get out, we might end up trapped in this world forever. The immortal art of Sal Tree, which initially only restricted our authorities, immortal arts, and mantras, now begins to suppress even our memories, knowledge, and essence. It is a clearly superior version of Bong Myong's storage scroll. Just staying inside causes our memories and knowledge to gradually regress, deteriorating to past levels. Is this the level of a Heavenly Venerable's immortal art? Truly incredible. Although Sal Tree may be weaker than Hyeon Mu in direct combat power, he is manipulating things from behind the scenes, activating his immortal art from a distance and toying with us, making him an even trickier opponent to deal with. Not being able to discern the true nature of the opponent's immortal art is the most frustrating part. If only I could identify the nature of the immortal art, I'd be able to use something like the wheel and grind it down from the inside to get out. But since I can't even grasp the nature of the immortal art, I have no idea what to do. Quote. This type of immortal art is usually easier to understand if you go outside. I know because I've been trapped in Bong Myong's immortal art before. Everyone nods at Kim Yeon's words. But Kong Min-hee speaks with a dark expression. Quote. But this is a Heavenly Venerable's immortal art. We can't compare it to the immortal art of Bong Myong, who has only been a supreme deity for a short while. Even if we discover the nature of it from the outside, there may be a restriction that requires being inside to dismantle it. Is that your intuition? Quote. Yeah, I feel it instinctively. This immortal art of Sal Tree is very similar to my own authority. It's not completely the same, so I can't dismantle it myself, but if I were the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable, I'd make it so that you can't understand the nature of the immortal art from inside, and even if you learn it from the outside, you can't dismantle it unless you're inside. And, if that's the condition, then naturally, my face darkens as I continue her sentence. Quote. There's a high chance that once someone leaves, there's a condition that they can never enter again. If only the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable had been unaware of my regression, it would have been easier to break through. But now that he perceives regression, even killing myself with my main body to turn back time isn't a solution. Not to mention, suicide in a situation where Seo Ran is present is out of the question. Which means, inside this world of Sal Tree's immortal art, some of us have to suicide, leaving Seo Ran behind. Do you think Seo Ran will be able to accept that? Kong Min he glares at us, especially at Kim Yeon and me. You two decide, who's going to die and confront the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable? Will it be you two, Seo Ran's parents? Or everyone here except for you two? Quote. It would have been easier if you were the weaker ones among us. Then we could just go. But, Seo Eun-yun, Kim Yeon, you two, are the strongest among us. If we are going to fight Sal Tree, we need you the most. Quote. Jaeon Myung-hoon briefly steps in between us. Quote. What if we just explained everything to Seo Ran? Stop saying stupid things. Even if Seo Ran properly understands our explanation, the human Seo Ran will melt down on the spot into a puddle of broth, and the person who's been with us all this time will collapse entirely, leaving only that child's original fate behind. It's no different from all our time being reset to zero, so why the hell? Kong Min he shouts angrily, and Jaeon Myung-hoon bites his lip. Quote. Sorry. If only I was as strong as obsidian or silver basket. Quote. It's not your fault. Silence lingers between us for a moment, and only the sound of Seo Ran's shooting echoes from outside. Then, breaking the quiet inside, white-winged heavenly Pegasus speaks. Now in the form of a human woman using the name, Beck, she opens her mouth. Quote. I'm going. I've grown a bit attached to Seo Ran, but I'm sorry, my loyalty to the old man matters more. The old man and I truly spent an unfathomable amount of time together. They rise from their seat, loosening the hair tied like a ponytail. Suuat. Gradually, their form begins to shift back into the one we know of. So, the old man who's gone mad right now, I'll beat some sense into him myself. Just tell Seo Ran that I went off to Seo Kingdom to hit it big or something. You think she'll believe that? When it comes to fate, she's the most sensitive among us. Strangely enough, Seo Ran is the only one who hasn't had her sense of fate restricted. Well, that's probably what Sal Tree is aiming for. So, if you disappear, Seo Ran will immediately notice that your fate is gone. Jaeon Myung-hoon continues speaking with a gloomy expression. If she realizes you're dead, that child will. Then just say something like, I died while creating a martial art to counter the gun-using bastards of Seo Kingdom. I like Seo Ran too. She's one of the few children I personally delivered as a midwife. That child is precious. But, Suuat. Finally, white-winged heavenly Pegasus reveals their familiar form. A heavenly Pegasus with a pair of white wings fastens their black martial robe and speaks. To me, this is like a predestined fate. Just as the heavenly punishment supreme deity was to you, Jaeon Myung-hoon. TSTSTSTSTs. As if intent on leaving right after speaking, white-winged heavenly Pegasus takes a step forward. Then, from the spot where they stood, a human woman's lifeless body appears and collapses. It's the incarnation of white-winged heavenly Pegasus. What stands before us now is only the soul of white-winged heavenly Pegasus. The Beck of this world is dead. The mantra Eastern Heaven Flower Field. That's probably the immortal art the old man is unfolding right now. The reason I hadn't confirmed it until now is because, among the immortal arts and Dharma treasures he possesses, there are many similar but inferior versions. But after observing for several years, I'm finally certain. What's being used now is the greatest mantra that the old man owns. Cooing. White-winged heavenly Pegasus's soul distorts space as they begin using the ground-shrinking technique toward where their main body is. The shadow of the Eastern Heaven Flower Field. A world that seals the cultivation, immortal arts, authorities, and power of origin of all beings in this world, forcing them to use only the power that was designated to them at birth. An anti-governing immortal technique. Quote. Once activated, as Kong Min he said, you must identify its true nature from outside and dismantle it from within. But it's an ultimate technique with the condition that if you exit once, you can never enter inside again. You seem to have a lot on your mind, but, if I were to give advice, Seo Eun-yun, it'd be best if you're the one who goes out. Quote. What? If it's your wheel, even if you suffer serious injuries, you'll still be able to leave a scratch on the old man's immortal art and interfere with it to some extent. If you are the first to go and gain the upper hand while confronting the old man, then even if you take serious injuries, you can send us a victory signal with the power of the wheel, and we can stay behind, take care of Seo Ran, awaken her, and all escape together in the end. But if you can't seize that advantage easily, just don't send any signal at all. If more than a year passes with no signal from you, the rest of us will keep following after, one by one. White-winged heavenly Pegasus uses the ground shrinking technique and leaves one last statement. Don't get arrogant just because you've reached a high realm and think you're at the level of a Gandhara heavenly venerable based on pure combat strength alone. The opponent is the old man. He's a heavenly venerable who has lived through time equivalent to the Ganges sands without being able to die, and has seen dozens of monsters like you. To stand before such a heavenly venerable and hesitate here, failing to choose either of the two paths before you, that in itself is immense arrogance. White-winged heavenly Pegasus looks back at me and speaks. Follow me, Seo Unyun. As Ran's midwife, I fully understand your heart. However, there are those who are left. Even if the father is gone, the mother still remains. Above all, you still have Sword Peak Mountain. Quote. Sword Peak Mountain, it is a part of my main body, and a mass of enlightenment I have bound together. As long as it remains in this world, Ran being with me or not makes little difference. I know this, and yet, I grit my teeth. I only now finally believed I've managed to grasp happiness. But to be forced to release the happiness I held in my hands to the sudden wave of fate, this, I cannot accept. However, tremble. Even as my body trembles, I rise to my feet. Drip. You are right, there is not a single thing that's wrong with what white-winged heavenly Pegasus is saying. The opponent is a heavenly venerable. This isn't someone to be measured by combat power alone. The schemes accumulated and the experiences gained through surviving time equivalent to the Ganges sands are truly limitless and inexhaustible. Combat strength and danger level are not proportional. To hesitate before such an opponent is arrogance itself. Seo Unyun, you, Kong Min. He glares at me, but I speak with hardened eyes. Don't stop me, I'm going. Seo Ran, Kwang, I stomp my foot and speak. I am now the head of a family. I joined with Yian, we gave birth to Ran. We became a family and lived together. Therefore, as the strongest and oldest among the family, I can only be the family head. As the head of the family, I must protect them, even if, in front of Ran, I must be dealt with by death. I tremble with a sorrow beyond words. That is why, to make sure Ran won't fall into greater danger, I must go now. At my words, Kong Min. He closes her mouth, and everyone grows solemn. Quote. I will go too, and I leave the rest to all of you. Resolving to follow white-winged heavenly Pegasus, I begin to gradually draw upon the power of my main body. The more I draw upon the power of my main body, the more Sal Tree's immortal art of the Eastern Heaven Flower Field invades, and my body begins to be pushed out from the unruly realm, which has become his world. Kim Yian watches me, trembling. At least, say goodbye to Ran before you go. That child. Quote. I'm sorry, Yian. Thud. My body in the unruly realm collapses in place, and I extract my soul, slowly walking toward the spatial passage that white-winged heavenly Pegasus opened. White-winged heavenly Pegasus looks at me, nods with a firm expression, and steps ahead. If I see Ran now, I might collapse and not be able to do anything. So, I can't face that child right now. If it means collapsing and failing to protect anything, then it's better to leave without showing my face to my child, being declared as dead. Just let Ran know that I loved her very much. With that, I follow behind white-winged heavenly Pegasus and leave the unruly realm. I will return, no matter what. I will subdue the Sal Tree heavenly venerable, send the signal through the wheel, and I will ensure that Seo Ran, even if she receives the love of others, awakens to her fate. With that oath engraved in me, I head forward to confront Sal Tree. Tong. While practicing shooting, Seo Ran, for some reason, feels a strange resonance coming from Sword Peak Mountain. Why is it? My chest hurts. She doesn't know why. Normally, when something like this happens, the fate of the entire world would twist, but no such sign is present. She only senses that a few currents within the flow of fate have vanished. Did someone die or something? Who could have died, for my chest to hurt this much? Tilting her head, she simply continues practicing her shooting. And that evening, Seo Ran receives, as a gift for her 20th birthday, the death of Beck, her midwife, and the obituary of her father. Seo Unyun, Chapter 709, Change, Impermanence 3. Seo Ran's father, Seo Unyun, is dead. Those who know the truth could say, it's not death. But formally speaking, it is definitely death. The cause of death isn't clear. They say it is a heart attack. At first, Seo Ran thinks they are playing a joke on her. To be honest, she has known since she was young that her parents are not ordinary people. And yet, one of the extraordinary parents of hers suddenly died from something like a heart attack, like a joke. It's absurd. Seeing Seo Eun-yeon's corpse, Seo Ran thinks he'll wake up if she shakes him a few times. So she tries shaking him a few times. Even so, he doesn't get up. Only then does she begin to accept it. Seo Eun-yeon, her father, is dead. I see. Seo Ran nods, trying to coolly calm herself. I'm not that sad, father. In fact, I feel relieved. That gaze of father's I always felt, and the suffocating pressure I couldn't explain. I've escaped it, father. With this, I feel even lighter, father. She turns her back to Seo Eun-yeon and tries to walk away, lightheartedly. Father, 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 dad, dad. And then, Seo Ran collapses on the spot, calling Seo Eun-yeon's without understanding why herself. Og, aagh. Clutching at her chest, she falls to the ground, her mouth unable to form words. And with indecipherable sounds, she keeps calling Seo Eun-yeon. Ooh-ah, ooh-ah, ooh-ah. It takes Seo Ran half a year to accept Seo Eun-yeon's death. For the first 6 months, following Kim Yeon's advice, she threw herself completely into training in the Seo-style grand method, Eun-style formation method, Yeon-style fighting method, and the paired wing spear like mad. Because only then could she forget the grief of losing Seo Eun-yeon even a little faster. Is it because she's always been a natural-born genius? Or is it perhaps because the Seo-style, Eun-style, and Yeon-style martial arts created by Seo Eun-yeon and Kim Yeon are simply that effective? In just half a year, Seo Ran became a peak master. But after that, she no longer trained in martial arts. She deemed that sufficient, and let go of the lump in her heart. So calmly that she surprised even herself. Seo Ran broke free from the sorrow of losing Seo Eun-yeon. 5.5 years have already passed since war broke out between the Seo Kingdom and the Yeon Kingdom, and many things have changed. Many aspects of Yeon Kingdom are now different. Seo Ran, being officially recognized as the Yeon Kingdom's strongest peak master and, in both official and unofficial terms, its top marksman, has risen to the top position of the Yeon Kingdom's royal guards. Having risen to the highest position in the Yeon Kingdom with a woman's body, Seo Ran gradually forgot the sorrow of Seo Eun-yeon and began embracing a new life. The Seo Ran of the past who once found everything boring no longer exists. Every morning, she reads the newspapers published by Yeon Kingdom's news agencies, absorbing new information. There is no longer a day when everything feels dull, like when she was young. Since the day newspapers were introduced, she lived immersed in that stream of new information. Where once Kang Min-hee filled that role, now it is the newspapers. Of course, that doesn't mean Kang Min-hee has lost significance in her life. Seo Ran, have you been well? It's another exclusive. As history revision occurred by the hand of the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable, and advancements in civilization that surpass people's imaginations began to appear all over the world. Many people's jobs and ways of life have changed. Among them, Kang Min-hee abandoned her now meaningless position as the sect leader of the Black Sect and chose the profession of journalist. Using all the assets of the Black Merchant Group under the Black Sect, Kang Min-hee established a newspaper company and fully utilized her abilities to continuously secure exclusive stories. In particular, it became her specialty to report on the corruption or misconduct of high-ranking officials, or information from dangerous regions around the world. Honey, what is it this time? Look, this one's really interesting. Seo Ran's eyes shine as she reads the articles Kang Min-hee has brought back from her coverage. The information Kang Min-hee used to bring for her is now replaced by newspapers, but Kang Min-hee continues to maintain their relationship through sensational reports that no other journalist can obtain. Kang Min-hee, as always, remains as Seo Ran's friend. The Yeon Kingdom's rebel forces are planning to attack a Seo Kingdom civilian port, but actually, it's a false flag operation by the Seo Kingdom government to redirect internal dissatisfaction from their citizens onto an external enemy. It is interesting, but isn't the evidence a little too weak? Without proof, it's just another of Unnie's stories. Haha, what matters is that you think it's interesting. That alone means it's true. I'm honestly not sure, even regarding the point that the Seo Kingdom is supposedly developing a ton of new weapons. No matter how advanced their technology is, how can they keep producing such unbelievable breakthroughs in such a short time? That's hard to explain to you, but let's just say that fragments of ancient history are continuously being brought into the Seo Kingdom by some entity. Quote. Seo Ran lets out a sigh at Kang Min-hee's words. Since a long time ago, Whether it's my father, or my mother, and sometimes even Unnie, you all say things I don't understand. You can understand them, if you just listen well to your mother. Even Unnie wants me to keep training in the paired wing spears and martial arts. Seo Ran looks at Kong Minhee and asks, and Kong Minhee only scratches the back of her head awkwardly. Quote. That's your choice, and I can't force you. I'm just saying, if you want to understand the terms we use, then maybe keep doing it. Quote. Sorry if I made you feel bad. I'll be going now. Also, because of the article one wrote today, our newspaper might get shut down, so help us out again this time. Please. Kong Minhee avoids Seo Ran's gaze, pats her on the shoulder a few times, and walks away. Seo Ran stares after her for a moment, then half-heartedly looks at the newspaper Kong Minhee gave her before turning her gaze to the sky. The flow. As time passes, unlike Seo Eun-yeon's group, who grow increasingly restricted in their use of immortal arts and other authorities, only Seo Ran, his daughter, continues to feel her senses sharpening. And as those senses become sharper, she comes to understand it even more clearly. This world is trying to take me somewhere. Kong Minhee's attitude, her mother Kim Yeon's attitude, and the attitudes of everyone she has known since childhood are all guiding her toward some destination. Is it fate? Fate Yeon Ming. She feels that power trying to do something through her. And lately, she thinks she is beginning to vaguely understand that purpose. Fate is trying to make me overcome something. Making her overcome the sorrow of losing her father, overcome the innate burden of possessing the quaking heat body, and the countless limitations she bears. Fate has brought her to where she is now. But she can sense it. Maybe what I ultimately have to surpass is the very flow that drives me to overcome things. While pondering this, she suddenly notices a contradiction. But if I think about it, if I overcome the fate I must overcome, then what will I have left to overcome in life? A strange contradiction. She begins to live with that contradiction in her heart, constantly mulling it over. Day after day continues to repeat. She fires guns, observes new inventions, reads newspapers to gain fresh information, exchanges a few words with Kong Minhee, protects her from high-ranking officials who try to shut down her newspaper. In the evenings, she visits her mother and the old neighbors who live in her childhood home at the foot of Sword Peak Mountain. She sometimes visits Oh Yun-sok and Jaeon Myung-hoon. Different from before, she doesn't go into Sword Peak Mountain as often. For some reason, it may be because she feels like something might explode out of her if she does. Because of that, she no longer sees the mountain spirit she used to meet often. Well, honestly, who cares? Thinking of that bizarre mountain spirit, Seo Ran figures that it's probably a relief not to meet it again. And so, unlike before, she steadily keeps up with new information, and she continues repeating her endless daily routine that is monotonous and yet not. And 6 months pass. Jaeon Myung-hoon has died. Looking at Jaeon Myung-hoon's corpse laid in the coffin, Seo Ran does not speak a word. She doesn't cry out in resentment as she did when Seo Eun-yeon died. Instead, she simply mourns him calmly. Quote. Ran ah. Kim Yeon gently strokes Seo Ran's back as she watches her. Jaeon Myung-hoon, left while worrying about you. He said he hoped you wouldn't be hurt too deeply. He said, he is only going to where your father is, so don't be too sad, and just do what you must do. Do what she must do. Seo Ran feels a flow, even in those words as well. It must be referring to the realm of the strongest under the heavens, that Kim Yeon and Seo Eun-yeon always spoke of. Even after Jaeon Myung-hoon's funeral ends, Kim Yeon approaches Seo Ran and speaks. Maybe now, take up the spear again, and follow your father's and Jaeon Myung-hoon's. Mother, please just stop. Seo Ran yells at Kim Yeon. What even is this, strongest under the heavens, and what even is a martial arts master? The era of those kinds of people has already ended a long time ago. Guns are the strongest now. Training in martial arts means nothing anymore, and it's all just old-fashioned nonsense. So please, just stop. Stop trying to trap my fate with stories of people who are already gone. Quote. Kim Yeon seems to hesitate at Seo Ran's words before speaking. Quote. I wasn't trying to trap your fate. I'm sorry, but there's one thing I must say. Pardon, Jaeon Myung-hoon and your father have never once gone anywhere. They are still watching over you, alongside you. Even if they've shed their physical bodies, they are always loving you. Quote. I know what you are thinking. That I never explain anything properly, and that I always speak vaguely like this. But, I have my reasons. We all do. You must at least reach the minimum standard. Kim Yeon looks at Seo Ran with unwavering eyes. You, more than anyone, need to stop turning away and please, do what you must do. Kong. For some reason, Seo Ran sees a vision of an immense, irresistible force crashing at her from Kim Yeon. Even though she, who specializes in guns, should be overwhelmingly stronger than Kim Yeon. Why is it? She feels as if Kim Yeon could crush her completely with martial arts alone. Quote. What is this thing I must do? What is it? Please, just stop already. And then, Seo Ran chooses not to confront Kim Yeon, but to run away instead. Shouting at Kim Yeon with all her strength, and leaving Kim Yeon's house and heading into Jungyang City was the greatest choice she could make. Just what am I supposed to do? She hates fate, and she utterly despises martial arts too, which claim to help her overcome fate only to impose another one. At least to Seo Ran. The flow of this world that pushes her, and the martial arts that tries to impose a new oppression on her, are one and the same fate. She hates fate, and so, in order to overcome fate, she rejects everything that tries to impose a standard upon her. And so, after the funeral of Jeon Myung-hoon and her fight with Kim Yeon, Seo Ran shuts her heart for a time, spending another year filled with anger. A year passes. Oh Yun-sok has died. Quote. Kim Yeon gazes at Oh Yun-sok's corpse. Her chest aches. She stares at Oh Yun-sok with a complicated expression. Seeing each other again after a long time, Kim Yeon and Seo Ran neither argue nor speak words of reconciliation. They simply grieve together. And, as they grieve, Seo Ran realizes something. To her senses, which perceive the flow, another kind of foresight enters. Ah, I see. Everyone around me, in the end, are set to leave me. Everyone is to leave her one by one. Her father, the neighbor she was close with, the neighbor she relied on. And, Min Hee-eunny too, and mother as well. Someday, they are going to leave. There is no clear proof. But the flow she feels is so vivid that she cannot deny it. But in the end, she still cannot bring herself to offer words of reconciliation to her mother first. After Oh Yun-sok's death, Seo Ran seeks pleasure. It is because she feels she can no longer bear the pressure. She begins using the drugs distributed from the Seo kingdom, numbing her mind and indulging in pleasure. Because the truth that every person she once treasured will someday leave her side is unbearably horrifying. To escape that fear, she begins to drown herself in every kind of drug and pleasure. And, another year passes. Kang Min-hee exhales a sigh as she lights a cigarette. Recently, Seo Ran's condition has been terrible. Even when Kang Min-hee requests to meet, she is refused every time, and according to rumors, it seems Seo Ran has gotten into drugs. Single quote. TCH. Seo Ran. And she guesses that it must be true. Ever since Seo Eun-yeon left, Seo Ran has grown increasingly unstable. And with the people she knows continuing to die one by one, it isn't strange that her heart has gotten ill. But, there's nothing I can do. Kang Min-hee knows the situation outside. The fact that it's been over a year and Seo Eun-yeon still hasn't sent a signal means, now, either I or Kim Yeon have to go. She clenches her teeth. She knows it herself. I have to go. Regardless of this or that, Kim Yeon is Seo Ran's mother. Even if they've grown distant lately, Kim Yeon, by her very existence, remains Seo Ran's final pillar. If Seo Ran loses even her mother, she will completely collapse. But, Kang Min-hee grabs at her own hair. Kang Min-hee has been listening to the sound of that heartbeat inside Kim Yeon's womb ever since Kim Yeon became pregnant. It's Kang Min-hee who has been by Seo Ran's side for years as her friend. Because of that, Kang Min-hee cannot bring herself to leave Seo Ran behind. Seo Ran. Seo Ran. Damn it. It is at that moment, when she is furiously clutching her head. Creak. Someone enters her room. Huh, who is it? I said not to come in during my personal maintenance tea. Oh, Kim Yeon. And Kang Min-hee opens her eyes wide as she sees Kim Yeon enter her personal office inside her newspaper company. Due to the history revision of the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable, Unbinding Star has undergone modernization. Because of that, the clothing styles across the entire continent of Unbinding Star have changed considerably in recent times. Kang Min-hee raises an eyebrow as she notices Kim Yeon wearing a palace attire completely out of sync with those current trends. Quote. Kim Yeon, why are you here? Feeling a sense of foreboding, she questions Kim Yeon. And Kim Yeon silently draws twin spears from her back. Min Hee-eunny. This time, I'll go. Quote dot dot dot. What? Twitch. Kong Min-hee's eyebrow twitches. Say that again. What did you just say? I'll be the one going this time, Unnie. So, please take care of Ran. Quote dot dot dot. This crazy bitch. Kong Min-hee shoots up from her seat at Kim Yeon's words and hurls the chair she was sitting on straight at Kim Yeon's head. Chapter 710. Spring Dream Chunmeng 1. Quack. The edge of the chair strikes Kim Yeon's forehead, and since she doesn't use any internal energy to protect herself, blood flows from her head. What did you just say? Say it again. However, Kong Min-hee, paying no mind to Kim Yeon's bleeding, rushes at her and grabs her by the collar. Say it again. Kwang. Kong Min-hee slams Kim Yeon into the wall by her collar and yells. To Seo Ran, do you not understand what you mean to her? Are you saying this because you don't understand what would happen to that child if you disappear? Even now, with just Jaeon Myung-hoon and Oh Yun-sok gone, she can't control herself and is wandering around high on drugs, and you can't even stop that, and yet what? You're going. Do you even have any awareness right now of being Seo Ran's mother? Quote dot 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 quote. I know that you like Seo Eun-yun. I know that heart is unimaginably deep and strong. That's why, I thought someone like me wasn't good enough, and yielded to you. But, what is this? Seo Ran. Seo Ran needs to be protected, Kim Yeon. Still holding Kim Yeon by the collar, Kong Min-hee drops her head. Seeing her like that, Kim Yeon silently lifts the two twin spears she is holding. Immediately after, Tukwang, Kim Yeon strikes Kong Min-hee's stomach with the spear end and flings her toward the opposite wall. Kahayak, why you little, get a hold of yourself, Min-hee Unnie. What, do you think I'm leaving because I want to? Do you even know what kind of resolve it takes for me to be standing here right now? Quote dot 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 quote. If someone has to go, then it has to be me. Because I'm stronger than you, Min-hee Unnie. Whether it's inheriting the legacy of the previous generation or whatever, I'm the one who is using it, and I'm the one who became stronger through it. And Min-hee Unnie, you're the most sensitive among us. Kong Min-hee doesn't refute her. She just coughs as she slumps down from the opposite wall. We were supposed to send a signal if we got the advantage, but even after all these years, there hasn't been a single sign. And it's Seo Eun-yun of all people. In this situation, when every second counts, it's me who has to go. If it's a situation where my strength is needed, then I'm the one who has to go. Quote dot dot dot. The place that needs your strength is here too, Kim Yeon. Kong Min-hee mutters a bitter remark. There's a child here, who might completely fall apart if she doesn't have a mother's love. Quote dot 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 quote. I can't do anything to help. I can only be her friend. I can't be her mother. Yeah, I just happen to be a little smart, but I'm pathetically weak, and the most useless one among us. So, because there's nothing I can do, I'm taking it out on you, aren't I? She lets her head hang low and collapses to the floor. Quote dot dot dot. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do on my own. So please, stay so Seo Ran doesn't break apart. Out there, she may have others, but here, she's alone. Murmur. From the commotion in Kong Min-hee's private room, murmuring voices grow louder outside. And amidst that noise, Kim Yeon slowly walks toward Kong Min-hee. Quote dot dot dot. As expected, Unnie should be the one who stays. Quote dot dot dot. What, even if I go, if there's no signal, you'll come a year later anyway. Isn't that right? Quote dot 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 quote. So, I'll say it here and now. I'll go, so you stay here no matter how many years pass. From this place, protect Ran, protect the most precious part of me and him. Quote dot dot dot. I can block attacks from the front. I can take on the hard stuff. I can block the filth with my body, but I can't do anything about a breaking heart. There's no need to do anything. Just stay by her side. What? And only then does Kong Min-hee flinch at the sight of Kim Yeon's stance, holding the twin spears. Wait, don't tell me. I'm going to risk my life to deliver this heart to my daughter before leaving. So, Unnie, please become the witness for it. Just that is enough. Finishing her words, Kim Yeon opens the window of Kong Min-hee's private room and jumps out. Kong Min-hee hurriedly chases after her and jumps out of the building. She, too, has trained her martial arts to at least the level of a peak expert, so leaping this distance poses no issue. Before long, Kong Min-hee is able to spot Kim Yeon moving far ahead in the distance. You're always ahead, always. After some time, Kim Yeon stops a carriage that is leaving Jungyang City and seems to head toward some villa. Ran-ah, are you in there? From within, Seo Ran's voice comes out. Quote. Mo, there. A voice trembling as if she's shivering. Through that physical reaction, Kim Yeon realizes that Seo Ran is quite heavily addicted. Come out for a moment. Quote. Driver, go, now, hiya. But instead of responding to Kim Yeon, Seo Ran urges the coachman forward, and he whips the horses, pushing the carriage out of Jungyang City. Watching it go, Kim Yeon lets out a quiet sigh and follows after the carriage. After a while, when the carriage reaches a place far removed from Jungyang City, Wong, Kim Yeon swings her spear and tears the roof off the carriage. The coachman screams, and inside, Seo Ran rises with a distorted face, gripping pistols in both hands. Mother, please, just leave me alone. Yun-style fighting method, revised. Yun-style shooting method, twin fangs, tang, tong. Waves ripple from both barrels, and the bullets, strengthened to the extreme by Seo Ran, fire straight at Kim Yeon. But in that instant, Kim Yeon moves her spear as if she is dancing, gently batting both bullets away. Tukwong. The deflected bullets ricochet and explode on the road on either side of Kim Yeon. Unnie, please just make sure the coachman doesn't die. She gives a brief request to Kong Min-hee, who has just caught up, and then grips her twin spears and takes her stance. That is, Kong Min-hee recognizes what Kim Yeon is about to use. Kugugugek. It feels as if willpower is distorting reality. At the same time, Kim Yeon's will bursts outward, and a solemn radiance begins to envelop her. Entering heavens beyond the path. When one reaches the summit of martial arts Wu, the path they've taken inevitably specializes based on how they've wielded and trained their martial arts. The formless sword is freedom, the surpassing radiant saber is speed, the 80 quadrillion lightning-tipped spear is piercing, and the 4 treasures annihilating heaven's blade is destruction. And the summit of martial arts Kim Yeon reached is, if it must be categorized, it is the pinnacle of internal energy cultivation. Full blossom, pasasasasa. At the same time, profusely numerous quince flower petals bloom brilliantly from Kim Yeon and begin to dye the surroundings. Kong Min-hee's eyes widen. Quince blossoms bloom from every part of Kim Yeon's body. Even entering heavens beyond the path, or the first stage of manifestation, has already become difficult to display in this world. As explained by white-winged heavenly Pegasus, the Western Heaven Flower Field is, quite literally, a place where only the power granted when life is first designated can be used. Up to 5 energies converging to the origin can barely be considered the strength permitted to humans. But, from entering heavens beyond the path onward, it is clearly the realm beyond humans. Therefore, originally, Kim Yeon should be restricted from using entering heavens beyond the path. But regardless of that, she is using entering heavens beyond the path here. What does that mean? Kugugugugugu. Single quote. So this is your resolve. A mass of power in the form of quince petals stretches to the heavens, forming a pillar of light that connects the sky and the ground. Because of Kim Yeon alone and her internal energy cultivation, heaven and earth shakes. Seo Ran stares blankly at Kim Yeon, as if the drugs have completely worn off. Inside the pillar of light, Kim Yeon, who reveals a power more formidable than any firearm, more stronger than any weapon that exists in this world, is, quite literally, wonder itself. Would you hold my hand? And from inside that pale pink pillar of light, Kim Yeon reaches her hand out toward Seo Ran. Seo Ran, as if entranced, reaches out her hand to Kim Yeon. In the very next moment, Tukwong, Kim Yeon grabs Seo Ran's hand and kicks off into the sky. Kicking skyward without end, she holds Seo Ran in her arms and heads somewhere. Seo Ran's eyes gradually widen. Mother, where are we going? That's where the remnants of the Yun Kingdom rebels are. The Seo Kingdom is about to launch a new weapon th. And before she even finishes speaking, as if the Seo Kingdom government has detected Kim Yeon racing through the sky, they launch something. Tukwong, a massive shell, imbued with the internal energy of over a dozen peak masters, flies toward Kim Yeon. And as she sees that shell, carrying the power of overwhelming explosion, Kim Yeon calmly grips her twin spears. Look, child, if you really hate martial arts, it's okay to just think of it as a dance. I, too, first learned it from him as a dance. In that moment, Seo Ran feels as if what Kim Yeon holds in her hands are not twin spears, but 2 fans. And in the next moment, Wong, as Kim Yeon swings her twin spears in the rhythm of her dance, a fan-shaped waterfall of gangchi sprays into the sky, blanketing the heavens in soft pink light and shredding the Seo Kingdom's shell. There is no sound. The explosive power contained within the shell is utterly devoured by Kim Yeon's overwhelming might, disappearing without a trace. Facing the Seo Kingdom's direction, Kim Yeon hurls a few more Gang Chi bombs and then, without pause, instantly returns with Seo Ran to where they had been. Was it fun? Kim Yeon looks at Seo Ran and asks warmly. Seo Ran responds in a daze. Yes. Good. I'm glad. Kim Yeon smiles warmly and embraces Seo Ran. Mom will be leaving soon. But don't forget, Ran just as Mom showed you just now, we are beings who wield power close to divine technique. Just because the body goes doesn't mean we are truly gone. It's the same for your father, Jaeon Myung-hoon, and Oh Yun-sok. All we ever wanted was for you to reach this realm and open the path to immortal ascension. We do not die, Ran. Just as the power of a human I showed you a moment ago truly exists, so too does the possibility that the dead can stay together with you, that they can watch over you. Squeeze. Kim Yeon hugs Seo Ran even tighter and smiles. Even if Mom leaves, there will be someone who loves you just as much as Mom, who will stay by your side. Mo. There. And, through her, I will always be with you. A heart that cannot be conveyed with words. Within Kim Yeon's overwhelming pillar of internal energy, Seo Ran glimpses a new domain and receives Kim Yeon's heart. So, be happy. I won't say things like, go find your fate, or, live as we wished. Just be happy, always. I will be watching over you with him. My beloved daughter. Pasasasasa. Kong Min-hee watches as, within the laws of the world enforced by the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable, Kim Yeon forcibly ignores those laws for a brief moment through sheer brute authority and disappears with her incarnation. Beyond the incarnation vanishing, even if she returns to her main body now, she will be gravely wounded. And even in that condition, she will surely fight beside Seo Eun-yun. Kong Min-hee holds Seo Ran and, looking at the now fully vaporized Kim Yeon, smiles bitterly. You always beat me and go ahead, Yeon. As Kong Min-hee looks up at Kim Yeon, who has become a mother and is now completely unbeatable. She lifts the still dazed Seo Ran up to her feet. Get a hold of yourself, Seo Ran. Stand up, stand, and walk on your own. The happiness your mother spoke of definitely didn't mean being so hung on drugs to even walk. So, from now on, walk with your own 2 feet. No matter the path. Seo Ran opens her mouth as if to say something to Kong Min-hee, then closes it. And then, having shaken off the drug's effects, she now walks properly on her own feet, heading toward Jungyang City. Where are you going to go? He honey. Seo Ran looks back briefly at Kong Min-hee. I want to go to that domain my mother showed me. Entering heavens beyond the path. Ha ha. Kong Min-hee laughs. Fate that overcomes fate, that is the essence of Seo Ran. Until now, that contradiction had been so entangled that she couldn't even find the right path. But now, at last, she can see that Seo Ran's fate has finally begun to find its proper path.